So the ones that you're seeing now, you can see the killies, and then the one that keeps passing in front here, you'll see him right there, that's the blackfish. So there's about 30 species in here, and this one mimics the Long Island Sound, so you kind of have to search for them, which is the fun part. Here comes another one. You see this guy? That's a sculpin, a big one. We'll be starting up in about 2 minutes. Well, 1 minute. I'm gonna bring you guys a little closer while we wait. We'll give everybody another minute. See the killies there. That's a blackfish. Another blackfish coming to say hi. It's feeding day today. And if you look in the back there, right there, that's our green crab, but we'll go over all these. You guys get a head start. It's our oyster toadfish. Here comes our sculpin. He looks just like the bottom, which is pretty cool. We got our clam there. And the infamous sea star. A bunch of sea stars. He's very curious today. We'll give it 1 more minute and then we'll start up. Oh, and if you look, he never comes out. That's our burgal right there against the black. He's very shy. This guy's very curious today. You'll see a big one of those guys in a second when I do the tour. If you look all the way in the back, right there, that's our spider crab. And this is a mummy chug, very similar to our killifish. There is a baby striper in here somewhere. Oh, there he is in the back. So striped bass get huge, for those of you guys that don't know. Alright, we're going to start up. Oops, hold on. Alright, hi everyone. Welcome. Let me get this straightened. So my name is Kyle. I am the biologist here at the Marine Education Center in Harbor Island Park, and I am open still Monday through Friday, 9 until 4, and this is Marine Mondays for the Westchester Children's Museum. So every week I come to you with different programs on the Long Island Sound. So the Long Island Sound is here in our backyard in Westchester. Right outside the door here of the Marine Center is the Long Island Sound. And that is brackish water. And at home, if I ask a question, you could answer with your friends or family or write it in. Sometimes the questions come through a little late or a little slow, but you could still write them in and answer my questions, but also answer them at home with your friends and family. Some of you guys have been here before, so hopefully you know some of these answers. Today we're going to be doing a tour of the Marine Center. But I want to start off by talking about what's outside and what the Marine Center is based on, which is the Long Island Sound. So the Long Island Sound is brackish water. Who remembers out there what brackish water is? Let's see if anyone knows. So brackish water is salt and fresh water mixed. And here in Mamaroneck, our freshwater source right here is the Mamaroneck River, which is right outside the door. And then our saltwater source is what? Let's see. Our saltwater source is the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean to be exact, which is up at the top of the Long Island Sound. So here in the harbor, it is brackish water, but it's a lot of fresh because the freshwater source is very close. So the differences in the Long Island Sound change and vary depending on where you are. But all the fish here in the Marine Center are from the Long Island Sound, and a lot of them from the harbor right here. And a big question is, how do you get your fish? So a bunch of the fish, like you see, and we'll go over some of these. A bunch of these fish I'll either go diving for, or I have big traps, which I'll show you as well. Or I'll use big nets, and for some of you guys who have been watching the show, you've seen us do the seining, and I'll get a lot of the smaller fish in the seine net. And once we open back up to programs, which unfortunately have closed up again, you guys can come down and do the seining with me. But you could always come and check out the smaller fish here in the tanks. And so I also will have local fishermen who are on a special thing called a permit get me some of the bigger fish. So that's how I get my fish. That's a big question. And the fish here in the touch tank, which we'll go over in a little bit, all come from the harbor here. And a lot of people don't realize things like sea stars and sea urchins all live in the sound, which is very cool. So a big thing for me is water quality. So out here in the sound, a lot of people are asking about marine debris because of the isolation and everybody staying home. People think there's not as much debris, but we all have to keep an eye out because there's actually a lot more. And I do cleanups every Friday. You guys are more than welcome to join me, and you could see all the trash that's coming down into the sound. And next week we'll talk about the water cycle, so I will talk about more of where that trash is coming from next week. But the animals here also depend on pretty clean water. A lot of them obviously like to have it cleaner rather than dirtier, but because they live in the sound and because it's brackish water, like I was saying, salt and fresh, they are used to a lot of different changes, which makes the animals here very special. They can deal with a lot of different changes. So I'm going to bring you guys around the Marine Center really quick if you haven't been here. Do a small little tour, and then I'm going to show you some of the animals that we've talked about before in the touch tank. So our first tank here, and so the tanks here at the Marine Center are usually all filled with animals native to the sound, like I was just saying. So this one here, who knows what this one is? You could say it at home with your friends or family. So this guy's been with me for a while. So this is our horseshoe crab. So in the tanks right now, they are getting medicated. So there's not as many fish, but I do have a few. But usually they are full with fish. Does anyone know what this one is? So big. She's big. Who knows what this animal is? And again, you could write it in, or you could answer at home with your friends or family. Give you a couple seconds. So this is one of my favorite animals. This is our American eel, and yes, they do live in the sound. They live in the harbor here, and they go upstream. So they'll live in fresh water. So a lot of eels actually go up and mature, which means grow up in fresh water, and then come down to salt water to go lay their eggs, release their eggs. So this girl here, they could live a very long time for an eel. So they're very special to the sound. A lot of people don't realize they don't bite, and they also do not electrocute. They are not a moray eel, which is the ones that can hurt you. They aren't electric. That's a big question. Very harmless, pretty much. She has a slime on her that makes her hard to handle, which is kind of her defense, not the electricity that you hear about. So this tank looks a bit empty, but we have this guy here. He's hiding. It is feeding day. So this is our spider crab. And I'll take out a smaller one, but this is my big one. And let's see if we can find the other one. The other one hides really, really well. So again, there's not that many animals in here right now because I am medicating the tanks. So we have our spider crab. And then we have this little guy. Let's see if anybody recognizes him. He just popped out of nowhere. Anybody remember what this is? Let's see. You can see him, he's very tiny. So this is our shrimp. Our shrimp here. Can't really see him that well. But that's our shrimp. And the shrimp are very small. These aren't the ones that you eat. So this one looks empty as well. She's getting medicated. A lot of people look at her and they're like, something wrong with her. So blackfish, this is our, you saw the blackfish in the touch tank. This is our big blackfish. And she lays on her side when she's not eating. They lay dormant. So you'll see them flipped upside down or all over the place. They like to lay on their sides. And then we have, oh, she's hiding on us. Oh, there he is. So this is a cool one. They're very big. You can't really see, but she goes that way. He or she. This is our spotted hake. These live really deep. So these are some of the animals. We have lots of animals in here. You see back there, and you can see there's an Asian shore crab. So these are the traps I was talking about. These are the traps, some of the traps that I use. I also use smaller ones. These are some of the traps I'll get the blackfish in, or sometimes flounder. And then if you guys ever come seining, these are the cool pants. So this is our little tour of the Marine Center. That's our big net. So these are the pants you guys will use. So then these microscopes here are for slides, for when we do plankton. And then this is our big microscope. You can see things like coral or some of the other things. Usually everything in the Marine Center is touchable. But right now we kind of have to be off limits. And then this is my favorite tank. This is a sea robin tank, but these are babies. These are my baby sea robins. They've gotten much bigger. If you can imagine, they're tiny, tiny right now, but they've gotten much bigger. So, again, it's feeding day, so they're all over. And then this tank looks a bit funny. That looks like ribbon. So this mimics a native seagrass bed. So seagrass beds in the Long Island Sound are disappearing due to a lot of things, including some things like climate change and habitat destruction from building. So this artificial seagrass tank has a lot of juvenile fish that usually use these grasses as their home. And you can see there's a lot of mussels in there, because what do mussels do? They help filter the water. And then we have a lot of artifacts around the tables you guys can look at. Everything from the Long Island Sound, like our sea urchin, coral, oysters. We got some fiddler crabs, and then more shrimp. So now we're gonna go back to our touch tank. And I want to show you some of the animals, and hopefully I think some of you guys will know some of these. But my first one, of course, another one of my favorites. So this is kind of our review class. Let's see if anybody remembers. You can say it at home. So this is our sea star. And I bet a lot of you guys said starfish at home. So if you guys remember, they aren't fish. What don't they have that fish have? So they don't have fins. They don't have scales. They don't have gills. So you're going to see that big orange dot in the middle. That's a big word. It's called a metroporite. But it's kind of like a door. Lets water in and out. So if you ever come and hold one of these, you're going to feel him. He's kind of hard. But that door kind of lets water in. And you're going to see, look closely. So all those 2 feet, that water inside of them helps the 2 feet move. You see them moving pretty quickly. But they also use that oxygen in them to breathe. They don't have the gills like fish. He's dropping all his rocks all over me. So you can also see something different about this guy. He only has 4 arms because they regenerate arms if they lose one. So they will release an arm if they feel like they're under attack. So they could get away. The predator that's after them will go after that released arm instead of them. And another big thing about them, if you come down and ever get to see this guy and hold him, his eyes are on the end of each of his arms here. So right now he only has 4, but this sea star, which is our common sea star in the Long Island Sound, has 5 arms, but some sea stars have a lot more than that. And the sea stars eat this. And a lot of people are going to say seashell at home, right? Does anyone know what animal this is? Let's see. And some of your parents probably eat it. They're more likely to eat the little necks. This is a quahog, a clam. So we have a couple different species of clams in the Long Island Sound. This one's our quahog. But if you go at low tide with me one day, we dig up soft-shelled clams as well. And they're called that because their shells are very soft. But sea stars love eating these, as well as gulls. And then this guy, which was hiding before, and is much smaller than the one in the tank. Do you remember what this guy is? So they're actually pretty docile when they're out of the water. This one is our spider crab. He moved very slowly, especially when it's cold. So he's starting to move now. I woke him up. He was sleeping. So this is our spider crab like we saw in the big tank, but they get much bigger. And some species of spider crab get as big as 6 feet tall. They're crazy, very big. So a cool thing about our spider crab is they can't see very well. That's not the cool thing. But at the bottom of all of their walking legs here, you'll see a red dot, kind of like a red spot. And they kind of have something like a taste bud, which we have on our tongue, at the bottom of their walking legs. So that's pretty cool. And these are all over the sound. You can see he's moving a lot faster now. And he'll taste with those, and then you'll see his mouth start moving. You probably taste my granola bar from earlier. And they like dead things because it's fat, since they can't see very well, it's easier for them to eat the dead things. And then my last animal, there's a lot of animals in here, but the last one, which I love, and it doesn't seem like much, is this guy. And you'll see these everywhere, and you'll probably see them broken in two like that. So this is our ribbed mussel, and if you look really closely, you'll see lines. You actually can tell their age. You can't count them, it's a little more technical than that, but pretty much by the lines on them, you can tell what their age is. And these guys are very important to the Long Island Sound. They're very good filterers, so they are filter feeders. So what does a filter do? So filters filter out dirty stuff. So that's exactly what they do. They help the sound by filtering out that dirty stuff and cleaning up the water. So I'm going to turn you back around and just let you see some of the other fish that we started off with. So again, our big blackfish, these are our small blackfish swimming around. And then we have our mummy chugs here. And then in the back, you can't see them right now, but there's a very small striped bass. And then this one looks like a mummy chug, but it's a little different, right? That's a killifish. And then we have our green crabs here. And then back there is our oyster toadfish. There's two of them swimming about. And then right here, our burgal. who never comes out. There's also a small eel in here too. Very small. There's a lot of different animals in here. And if you guys come down to the center, you can check them out. Again, the tanks are being medicated and the programs have stopped for now. But I am open Monday through Friday, 9 until 4. So when it's a beautiful day like today, you could come stop in, check out some of the artifacts and animals swimming in the tank. So thank you for joining me on Marine Mondays, and I'll see you next week to review water cycles, and we'll talk more about how we can help our waterways and what you can do at home to help keep these fish as well as us happy and healthy, because we all like to swim in the water and like to enjoy all these fish here. So everyone have a great Monday and happy holiday, and I will see you next Monday. All right, this is Kyle Troy coming from the Marine Education Center in Harbor Island Park, and thank you for joining us on Marine Mondays. All right, bye everyone.